Hi. Can you hear me? Hello. Um, uh, we will win. This is what I think, and it's a work that from Burak Deliar from Istanbul. It's an intervention he did with the Shinju tribe for the Taipei Biennial at 2008. It's a work that actually puzzles me a lot, and my reaction over the time keeps changing for this work. In this work, the artist intervened in a slum area, and with the people living there, it's a place where the airplanes pass. Actually, he created this sign that will be like visible from quite far. So I don't consider myself an engaged artist. I consider myself an engaged person. I'm a PhD student in architectural design. I'm a photographer and an artist. But my work with the Yedikule vegetable gardens that you see here, these are 1,500-year-old gardens, is a case where I am not active as an artist and I withdraw myself. So we are in the historic peninsula of Istanbul. You know the work of Halil Altındere, which I will talk about again during the presentation. But we are actually situated along the Theodosian walls, which are built in the 5th century. And so it's a quite tricky area. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And this is the situation now, but all this area was urban farmland, urban agricultural land until last year. This was a time just after Gezi protests where everyone was exhausted, and I saw a tweet of a friend basically about like that the municipality wanted to construct a recreational park on top of historical vegetable gardens. So it's quite a tricky situation concerning the right to the city, because what I'm advocating also, in a way, is different from most of the other movements. Concerning my practice, I have always been interested in the relationship of flora and the people in the city, and this was a case. Actually, this was the reason the first day I went there, but this was the reason as an artist to document what was going on that I went there. But what we saw was like there was like 85,000 square meters of land, and it was still savable, because what they were doing basically was they wanted a green park, concrete park on top of an urban agricultural area. The reason was to create space for the community. But there was actually no reason with the design process that both could not coexist. And this was done in a way that was actually quite dramatic. Like while the gardeners were trying to rescue their crops, bulldozers were like putting unfertile soil on top of them. So the topographic change is quite important in a way that's like, this is what brings all the history of this area. These are 1,500-year-old gardens that I explained before. And it's a cultural side, and it's an intangible heritage that needs to continue. So what we did immediately was, and this is what I think where like my practice as an artist came in handy. I could open a blog there were other artists involved as well. We could open a blog immediately. We could like really make ourselves heard. We were using all these like social media quite actively, much better than the gardeners. So we gathered history professors, architecture professors in land, and made this kind of press release that gathered the attention of the area. What the actually municipality people were saying, these are not historical gardens, these just existed since 50 years ago. But like as you can see in like many other documents, these have been there for quite some time. It was the area where the kind of military gathered before doing their attacks. So during this struggle, we managed to stop the park project, but the leveling was already done. So there was no fertile crop. At the same time, we were like constantly publishing articles and making ourselves heard. So what I want to come here to actually Christoph Schaeffer and Park Fiction, they were mentioned during the time where our struggle was at one of its peak points. I arrived at the 13th Istanbul Biennial and I saw this drawing by Christopher Schaeffer. So actually, as a group, we decided to not to show the pictures of the demolished gardens, and because this actually puts a distance between the people and the situation. So they were still meant to be savable. And this is quite a good way to make people aware of such a struggle, but actually this drawing doesn't do that at all. So like this is one of the reasons why I kind of try to withdraw myself in these kind of immediate situations. So we applied to Monuments Committee, we did like different gatherings with experts and etc. So this kept on going, I mean, to highlight the importance of the gardens. You see some of the examples here. I have to cut short. And what we did was we established a historical school of Historical Vegetable Gardens of Yedikule. So what actually we were doing, we were organizing workshop with the kids to engage with the neighborhood. But at the same time, we were actually kind of using the methods that were created or that were tried out before at Sulukule resistance, Sulukule struggle. So children's art workshops, and that was like kind of a good way to engage with the community garden. And for example, Halil Altındere's work is in a quite special way. I mean, he highlights, the work is also here at the Biennial, and he really puts, through his work, he makes the voice of the Sulukule resistance reach a broader public. But I always kind of feel a bit uncomfortable with the sense that what happened to all the like other artists that were actually active in the field. So these are some pictures from our workshops. So it was always trying to, because there is the situation in Istanbul is, we have a lot of inland migration from like rural areas and villages, but there is a big self-hatred actually against like urban growth or urban farming or things that look like a village. So a city has to be look like city, flora has to be under control, and everything has to be concrete, clean, and appealing to the eye. So in a case, what we did was we engaged also architecture students. We made workshops with them, creating different possibilities how a recreational area and an urban farm could exist together. So these are some of the examples that the architecture students did. And this is a still ongoing struggle, which is quite active nowadays. And this case I want to open a little bit more. There is this problem in our area that we are actually struggling for something that the neighborhood doesn't want. The neighborhood wants a park. They think that the park will solve their problems of like having more green space and etc. because they don't have access, they wouldn't have access to the urban farmland. So, and we are trying to show that like there could be another possibility here. What happened was the New Brooklyn Theater approached us. They heard our story because we had like quite a lot of English and other articles in other languages. They wanted to like perform the Cherry Orchard by Chekhov at the Yedikule Vegetable Gardens. So the idea was to have a like 45-minute long play and afterwards have a forum and open discussion with the neighborhood to explain our project and ideas. So, but at that second, what happened was we were informed by some very engaged artists, in quotation marks, that actually New Brooklyn Theater is one of is an actor in the gentrification of the Bed-Stuy area in Brooklyn, and they are actually trying to claim this historical slave theater. And they want to open up their new theater, New Brooklyn, change the name, have the New Brooklyn Theater open in that area. So we were, at that moment, we were like quietly pushed by many opposition groups. It's like, what is your reaction to this? It's like, you have to be against gentrification, and what are you going to do? So we had to, like, the play went on, but we couldn't go there as we, like, as a group, we had to withdraw our sport. But then I personally, for example, argued for like long time with my colleagues that actually we have to go there as well and discuss these areas, because like we are all involved in somehow like processes of gentrification. For example, the owners of this monstrous shopping mall, hotel, residence area in the like one of the like most important hills of Istanbul own a work of mine, and they were actually, it was actually commissioned by them at their site. So like this puts, I mean, what I try to do is like having this fear of being co-opted shouldn't stop us, and this is where I want to conclude in a sense that with a like kind of quote by Castoriadis from Anticipated Revolution. Someone who is afraid of co-optation has already been co-opted. So to keeping up the dialogue was, this is what we are still trying to do, but yeah, I mean, here I conclude, yes. Yeah, I think we will have, yeah.